Bridging the expectations towards affordable housing in India. It's a topic that sounds very exciting because it's something that affects everybody. When we are talking about affordable housing, it's for everybody, isn't it? It's middle income India, it's low income group, and it's the economically weaker section. So we are going to first start in this very special panel discussion to define what affordable housing is. But let me introduce you to my panelists today. Shri Naveen Raheja, President NDTV and CMD Raheja Developers. Anuj Puri, Chairman and Country Head, Jones Lang LaSalle. R.V. Verma, Chairman and Managing Director, National Housing Bank. P.S. Jayakumar, Managing Director, Value and Budget Housing. Sunil Daya, Senior Vice President, NDTV and MD Vigneshwara Developers. Sandeep Ahuja, Senior Vice President, Tata Housing Development Company. S.K. Chaudhary, Senior Executive Director, HUDCO. Rajesh Arora, Managing Director, Arora Associates, Sintra Developers. And Ashok Khurana, Member DDA. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. I think I'd just like to start with an opening comment from Anuj, because I'm hoping he's going to be on my side as we grill both policymakers and developers today and find out how serious is their intention to make housing affordable in the country. Anuj, what is affordable?
We need to define what affordable really is, Manisha, because affordable in Bombay is going to be very differently defined to affordable in Delhi, to affordable in a tier 2, tier 3 town. In a tier 2, tier 3 town, affordable may be something which you are able to get in, say, 40 lakhs or 50 lakhs, that kind of affordability. Then you go in a little bit more lower and say is that it is affordable for the economically weaker section, and then you get into something which is below, say, 10 lakh rupees, and that's how the tier 2 will define affordable. And then you get into somewhere like a Bombay, and their 1 crore is an affordable housing, and that is how it is going to be defined as affordable. So I think it's
1 crore, I heard that right?
1 crore, and you would still say this is where.
And everybody here needs to understand that we are putting a price tag of 1 crore and saying affordable housing. So there's something that we need to fix, definitely.
The second point that I would say as an opening comment is, I think given where the land prices are in many of our cities, I doubt it that you can truly do an affordable housing scheme. Whether affordable as a business would make that much more sense to the developer community, given the choices that they have.
Let's rule out the rich. I think they can afford anything. So let's just focus on middle income India. That's, I think, the largest part of India that we really do need to provide houses to start with. Naveen Raheja, how convinced are you about affordable housing?
Every human being who is in this country is a person, he's an Indian, he needs a shelter. So affordable means ways may be different. That how will you cover the Juggi Jhopri walas, how will you cover the people who have just migrated from villages in search of employment. So we must talk about affordability across every segment. Affordable housing can be created purely by private sector. No, it cannot be done. So there, government has to facilitate land supply. Land was procured and acquired by government many decades ago. Why can't, because these authorities which were created by the government, they were created on the principle of no profit, no loss basis. Why are they looking to make profit on those lands?
You think the government is the government looking to make profit on that land?
Yes, because they try to sell through auction and they try to give it to the highest bidder. That jacks up the prices.
Very important point. Ashok Khurana, I know you're at the end of the panel, but answer that. Why is the government auctioning and trying to make money out of something which is meant for the economically weaker sections?
We are no way making profit. DDA till date has not auctioned any flat. It is by the lottery system. We are earning money, yes, earning money by selling the commercial properties. That's being utilized for the providing community services. Where in this world or India, community services are being provided free of cost by any other development authority? DDA is providing.
All right.
We are
So
providing-
I think maybe the question shouldn't have been aimed at you. We really definitely should have had Mr. Ajay Makhan here amidst us to answer that question. But Mr. Verma, I mean, you've been associated with the industry for a long time. Yes, if we have to move the spectrum of affordable for the economically weaker to middle income India, and there is the largest gap of housing in that sector, how are we going to do it? Starting with land, which is just not available, and if available, it is so expensive.
For a longer term approach, we need to look at it very proactively, which will include issues like inclusionary regulations, inclusionary zoning, inclusionary bylaws, which would essentially mean that as a byproduct of urbanization, the people who move into areas and come to the urban centers are able to find affordable housing at their workplaces. And that's something which the government and the private sector have to work towards. And in this case, what I feel is that there is competing demand on land and capital. And these need to be addressed. And when I call it the right business model, essentially it does take into account the government schemes which are supported through subsidies, and that's for EWS and LIG, and where the financing institutions come in. So you have to look at it very holistically, where you have the stakeholders in the financial sector as well as in the construction sector coming together and implementing the programs of the government through private sector participation.
So let's talk about the financing part, Mr. Chaudhary. Being part of HUDCO, you should basically outline for us how comfortable are financiers to actually look at projects in affordable segment.
Higher the cost of the land, higher the distribution on the per unit cost of the house. And financing is also very, very important in this sector, because affordability comes when you get a cheaper finance as a developer as well as to the individual buyer. Both.
You're saying 8.25% you're making the finance available. Are there enough buyers? Are there enough homes to buy?
Oh, homes will not come. I said there are two factors basically. One is the cost of land, because land prices are so high. Earlier, Mr. Raheja was pointing out that land is being auctioned. It's true. In Delhi, the land was acquired and kept on hold. DDA acquired so much of land that they could not develop. Both the roles were taken by DDA as a development as well as holding of land.
Absolutely.
So there were slums came up on those lands. They were occupied by slums. So planning authority need not to be a development business. Development has to be left to the private parties. Government has to do policy making availability of cheap land, regulatory issues and finances to both individuals as well as developers. In this sector, HUDCO has already done a lot of job and provided finances to more than 1.5 crore houses in India since its inception.
8.25% is definitely a very encouraging rate of financing. But like we said, no land, nobody is incentivized to build, and no cheap land actually. Sunil Daya, let's leave aside land for a minute and let's hope and pray that the government does bring it out in the market at a reasonable rate. What next? I mean, what else do developers want to be enticed into making affordable houses?
There is a perception that land is short or land is not available, or we need to go for fresh acquisition of land. Why go for fresh acquisition of land? There is 11 lakh acres available with the government PSUs today as per Urban Development Ministry. If you construct an FAR of existing FAR of 1.75 and construct 300 units per acre, you're looking at 33 crore houses to be available with the government supply.
Okay.
Today, military is using land for farming within Delhi. Ande murgi uga rahe hain. Within Delhi. You're looking at DTC parking all their old buses into areas which are in center of excellence. So here, let's talk about land supply. Land is available. You don't need to go anywhere. You need to decide, do you want to auction it? Do you want to give it on a PPP partnership? What is your modus? Second thing is, even if you construct these houses at the cost of construction and take the land cost as zero, you will still get rental out of it. So let's create rental stock.
Right. That's an interesting point of view, but let me also get another point of view. Rajesh Arora, I mean, Delhi, Mumbai, rapidly urbanizing cities, huge migration, and we can see what's happening to these cities. They're crumbling with the weight of people moving in. Can we move beyond land? Understood that yes, we need land from the government, but what more?
What constitutes the value of affordable housing is the land cost, is the cost of construction, cost of funds, and the profit margin.
Right.
Of the
so
developers.
Let's be honest about it. We need to make some money.
Let's accept the ground reality, okay? So, yeah, we need government to give us the land supply. But along with the land supply, we also need government to give a better infrastructure, because the land cost depends on the location. So even if the land is a little away from the epicenter, a little away, the land supply could be more, the land cost would be less, provided there's that infrastructure, there's a rail link, there's other modes of transport. So that way, you know, the government help is needed. Cost of construction, we can't do much about it. Cost of funding, yes, you know, we could urge the nationalized bank to give some incentives, you know, maybe subsidize interest to the developers who could encourage. But we have also to make it mandatory. I know I won't be liked, but mandatory for the developers to undertake the affordable housing. If they're doing luxury projects, then they have to do at least some percentage for affordable housing.
I am so happy to hear that, Rajesh. I'm going to take hold your thought. I'm going to take a quick break, because Rajesh has actually said it. Make it mandatory. It's not going to happen otherwise. Though there are gentlemen sitting here on the panel who've done affordable housing. They're doing affordable housing. So we'll come back in just a minute and talk to them. Bridging the gap for affordable housing in India, the largest, biggest shortage of housing is for the economically weaker section and the low-income group. In fact, over 90%. If you look at the figures, it's 19 million homes that we need in urban India right now for this section. We've already discussed and debated that land is the key issue. The government holds the maximum of land, and if that land is not made available either for free or at least auctioned very, very cheaply, the starting point for affordable housing isn't there in the country. Really? Do you really believe that? Well, there are some people who are making it happen. How are they doing it? So let me go ahead with this panel discussion and ask them. Mr. Jaikumar.
What we do find as a challenge with respect to construction, affordable housing, is an extraordinarily long approval lead time and an extreme high level of uncertainty over the process. In my view, the cost of the final product is getting escalated between 20 to 30%, primarily because of the extreme long approval time. But supposing I were to tell you, I don't know when I will get approval, I don't know what form of approval I will get, what do you think you're going to charge me for cost of capital? It's going to be quite astronomical. My worry is not about taking capital. We can take more. We need laws that are fairly consistent. And it does look very simple that I changed the ceiling from 2.9 to 3.1, but with it carries a whole lot of cost and effort in redoing and so on. So in a way, we are very happy. We are happy that we're able to deliver an end product to the consumer, which is as comparable to any other product that comes in the market, whatever the pricing be.
And I think the approval processes, if I'm not wrong, both for affordable or luxury project is precisely the same. There is no attention from the policy makers that they should probably fast track affordable housing. Okay, Sandeep, Tata Housing at both spectrums, a 50-60 crore house and also affordable housing. Does it worry you that slowly and steadily, if things don't get fixed, you may have to only move towards the 50-60 crore spectrum?
We thought we will do a little differently. Let us not only wait for the government to give us all of that and then start. We thought we'll make our own beginning. What we thought was, let us focus on the inefficiencies on the system itself. Right. Now, I'm talking about internal inefficiencies. I'm talking about the design systems which exist today. They do not cater to, the design ideas do not cater to the low-cost housing. The procurement system do not cater to the low-cost housing. In fact, in the initial talks when we were looking at constructing low-cost houses, the idea was, let us keep cutting from the original idea of a premium house. So let us cut the air conditioners, let us change the flooring, all of that. In our anxiety to offer something more to the customer, to the person who does not have anything today, we kept adding, why can't we give vitrified tiles to him? He has never seen it. Let's give that to him. Why can't we add, a few things which he might not actually need? What actually happened was it kept on adding to the cost of the product. And what we did was we realized that we are taking the dream of owning a house away from him just in the quest of offering him something. So even if we improve 20% of each of the things which we do today, I think we'll be home.
And I think this affordable housing needs that institutional mindset, which is, we're going to work with a lot of efficiency. Because in the past, what has happened is any inefficiency has only profited the developer. So hence, there has been very little focus from an organizational point of view on bringing in productivity and efficiency.
Let's assume that all of these problems at some level do get taken care of with time, because we do have now a new minister who seems far more focused. Will developers then come forward, or do you really have to have a mandatory 35% reservation in every project to low-income group?
No problem with 35%.
No problem?
When it comes to constructing in one single project, you cannot make a developer to make 35% affordable housing in Connaught Place. You can't do that.
Why not?
Where will they work?
Oh, that's exactly my point, Mr. Raheja. People who work in my house do not want to live in Manesar. They really want to live next to my house.
Correct, but there are already the pockets, I personally feel there are a lot of pockets still available with the government which should be made available for the purpose of affordable housing, and these pockets should be unlocked by the government. And these pockets are in the city. Can you believe even today, in the heart of Delhi, you can buy a jhuggi for 50,000 rupees. Why not create a multi-storied building over there?
Agreed. Why is there so much apathy at policy-making level?
I think anything which interferes with the economic progression will only create more problems, and then the developers will try and find out ways how you're going to construct one affordable house of 500 square feet and next to that another 500, 500, 500, and you sell it as 2,000 square feet because the buyer is one at the end of the day, and then you're going to be able to do that. So I think I find that as a big challenge to say that from a regulatory point of view, you bring in my mind, it hasn't worked, and I don't think so in many of the free industries within India that would work.
Mr. Daya, I don't believe any business should be done as a charity. First of all, may sound a bit like a capitalist here, but if you were given a reasonable margin to entice you into affordable housing, what would that margin be?
I think if you can reserve 35% profit for us, we are ready to do anything.
Absolutely. If you give me 35% in the business, I'll leave editorial roles and join your business.
I have one more proposition. What the government plans to do by putting a mandatory 35% of stock is basically ensuring supply. Now, there's another way. Let existing homeowners become manufacturers with us. When they take a loan against their existing property, it is given at 22%. When they take a loan for a housing loan, it is given at 8.25%. What is this disparity? Let existing owners become manufacturers of one unit at least, and let them restrict themselves to supply one more housing unit. You are basically throwing in the free economy.
Okay. I'm going to ask Mr. Chaudhary that question.
We find, as Mr. Anuj said, that 500, they made it one. Government is very serious now after the migration taking place in the cities, and they are coming with the seriously with the regulatory bills, rental bills, other kind of issues, and they'll make sure that this 25% minimum requirement of housing has to be done, because it creates a socio-economical problems too also in a city if the people too stay in slums, and then a lot of different kind of activities do take place there. DDA has come with two schemes earlier, one in near Okhla, Tekhand, and another scheme in near Shadipur Depot, which Mr. Raheja is building, where they said that existing slum holders have to be given free houses, and rest of the land he can exploit and sell it to HIG and make some part as a commercial component. Developers too also have to think that this is their also a moral duty. Earning a 35% profit on any business today is not possible. They should not keep on holding the lands, and they should also think on delivery of projects.
I don't think the developers actually use land for a trading stock. It is by default. You make application For clearances, it takes 5 years, and by that time, the price of land has gone 4 times. So it comes by default, and we feel very lucky about it at times. So the government makes you rich.
We are blessed with 1.2 billion population, so land is always going to be at a premium. But I'm going to bring in Mr. Khurana here. Interestingly, I read this recent article that Ajay Makhan says that he's going to have a third-party inspection of all homes built under the Rajiv Awas Yojana. Again, you're going to say that why am I here at an NDTV conference, which is being organized by developers and poking all these questions? Why are corners cut? I mean, why can't we have technology come to play? Why can't we have the best construction practices in a different way, as just highlighted by Sandeep here?
When I go for 400 FAR, the buildings are to be 18-20 story. They won't be easy. All these EWS housing in Delhi can't be a low rise. Because land is a scarce resource in Delhi. If I don't utilize fully the land resource, the houses become costly because the land is very costly. We have to go very high. For high, that maintenance for the poor person is a difficult job. Then we have to, through JNNURM and other schemes, we are thinking to create an escrow account, give them free. We need cooperations from the private sector. They should look into that. Profitability is a part. Their name, to the social service to the society is also there.
Okay, I think therein lies the difference. The government thinks developers should do it as a moral responsibility and as a social service. I don't think any business can be done as a social service. I think it's a chicken and an egg situation right now, and that's probably how we're going to end up for a couple of more years, Anuj. Am I not right? 550 million people in this country under the age of 25, and all of them will need a roof over their heads.
I certainly am not a big professor of saying is that this is mandatory and it needs to be done by the private sector. I think CSR is a choice that the private sector has. I'm sure all the developers do CSR in their personal capacity, but I don't think so that it can be commanded by the government. The issue is also on the home loan side. I think the individuals who are buying it are those who don't have really income tax returns. Absolutely. And hence the ability of them to go out and raise mortgage is a big challenge. I am not sure whether the microfinancing has improved since the time we spoke.
I think we should thank Mr. Verma. I think the NHB has done a commendable job, and I say that in a public forum, in terms of what they have done to increase the number of housing finance companies that are exclusively focused with respect to low income and moderate customer. And it's not that our bureaucrats and our policymakers don't know what needs to be done. I think they've collated all of it, put together in a neat format. Now I would look for a systematic road plan. So I'm not excessively pessimistic. I'm on the contrary very optimistic about technology and what it can do. But we need to ruthlessly address these issues and take the decisions and move on with it. And I think that's a critical thing.
All right, I'm so glad, Mr. Jayakumar, that you ended on a positive note. I think that's what we need. We can keep bashing, we can keep raising issues, but I think a little bit of positivity does help. New ideas help, and I think everybody, if the developers, policymakers can come together and resolve the problem, because you could be sitting on a social time bomb, roti kapra aur makan. This is a slogan which caught the fancy of the nation, and it is for a reason. With a country like ours, housing is absolutely critical, and it's not just for the well-off and the rich, but it has to be for everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. I would like to thank all my panelists. We're short of time, but I'm sure we can continue with this discussion, and we will revisit this subject several times again in a real estate forum.